What's up, Degenerate Nation? Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. This is the conference tournament betting preview part two. I'm Stuckey, and joining me today to kick things off is my guy Jim Root from the Three Man Weave. We will be covering the ASUN and Big South, and then Matt will be joining me for the second half of the episode to cover the NEC, the OVC, and the Summit. If you missed part one, make sure you check that out, the guys from Three Man Weave. They did their normal Sunday episode and then covered the first three conference tournaments, the Belt, the Patriot, and the Horizon. I think we're aligned on a little dart throw on Coastal in the Sun Belt, which should be wild. I kind of agree with you on the Patriot. There's no reason to find anyone other than Navy who just covers every game. And the Horizon, you can probably expect chaos. I just have no feel, so I'm probably staying away there. But Jim, how goes it?
It's good. Yeah, one thing I'm not even sure I fully grasped while we did the Horizon preview yesterday is the format where they have five quarterfinals and then the bottom two teams have to play a little, I think Ken Palm called it an interstitial game to make the semifinals. So three of the five quarterfinalists go straight to the semis, and then the bottom two teams go to the another random game, and then there's semifinals. It's bizarre. I think it's, I guess, an interesting schedule quirk to give one team I guess the top seed would probably get an edge there because those extra two teams are going to be on less rest. But I'm a fan of creative conference tournaments in the mid-major level, and unfortunately, the ones we're talking about today are like completely lacking in creativity. So that's an interesting pivot point there.
Well, if you want chaos and a creative angle, well, Matt and I will talk the NEC. If we get Mercyhurst versus Lemoyne in the final, they will play an additional game of the losing semifinalists to determine who goes to the
Oh,
NCAA
I
tournament.
didn't even know that.
It's not
That's
the regular
amazing.
season champ. It's they'll play another game. I don't know where it is. I checked the actual NEC site to make sure. That's the rule. They didn't have any details on the game, but yeah, that's a 3 and 4 seed. So it's not like crazy to think that could happen. Um, but yeah, so that's what I'm rooting for. But let's start. What do you have more conviction on, the ASUN or the Big South?
Well, the Big South is going to end up sounding like the Patriot preview, where I'm more excited about the one seed. I've got probably more adventurous takes in the ASUN.
All right, well let's start in the ASUN then. This is a 3 point shooting league. That's like, yeah, if you want 3 point shooting, this is the league that you want to follow in the conference tournament that you want to follow. The tournament, it will all take place in Jacksonville, like across three arenas. Like there's some games, the first round's in the UNF arena and then the Jacksonville arena, and then um, the the remaining games are in VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. It'll all be in Jacksonville. All 12 members make it. The top four seeds get a bye to the quarterfinals on Friday. From an odds perspective, Austin P is the favorite, around 2 to 1. Then Central Arkansas, the surprise one seed, plus 250. Then you have Queens and Lipscomb, around 4 or 5 to 1. And then you start getting into long shot territory. Um, so I will say, like, I'm not. How do you want to attack this? Where do you want to start? Do you want to start at the top of the board? Who do you like? Do you want to go through some of the matchups? It's up to you.
Yeah, we could start top of the board. I'll add just a little bit of color to it here. Like this is the first year they're playing neutral site in this tournament. It's been typically one
Yep.
of the campus site reseed time in between games, and that's typically led to like the top teams winning the last few years with 1/2, 2/4, 1/2, 3/4, but those were divisions, so it's kind of an odd one, and then 1/5. So you've had the one seed win three of the last 5 years, two seeds been in the title 3 straight years. And to your point on 3 point shooting, it's 3 straight years that the ASUN's been the best 3 point shooting conference in the country. So it is a very offense heavy league, top conference in efficiency this year. 2 out of 3 years they've done that. They were number three last year in efficiency. Very much, you get some like crazy shootout games. I think it was Bellarmine, or I can't remember who played Austin P in a semifinal game. It was like 90 to 88. Just neither team had any defense. So it's a fun conference. Like with it being an early tournament, it's worth watching the games because you're going to see a ton of points and not a lot of defense. And yeah, I'm curious how the new format works with playing on the neutral site and back to backs rather than the old spaced out campus sites.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like let's start crossing off some teams. I mean, we'll start the bottom of the bracket, Eastern Kentucky and Stetson. I mean, Eastern Kentucky, they are defense. They're going to press. And if they don't force a turnover, you score on them. Their defense is horrendous. They can shoot the three, do it at a decently high rate. They're good on the offensive glass, but yeah, it's like they usually play games with runs, but their D is just way too bad for me to get behind them doing anything. They'll take on Stetson in the first game. You're going to get some unique zones from Donnie Jones. Stetson's bad. And the thing I'm worried about with Stetson, by the way, EKU is a very good zone offense. Stetson shot 44.5% from three in the month of February. So there is the team it's a little overdue to go cold from three. It might be Stetson. So I think Eastern Kentucky gets it done. But I don't see either of those teams threatening to get to the championship. Would you agree there?
Yeah, definitely. They would have Austin P, the winner would, and they're the best defense in the league, not to overstep and start talking Austin P. But yeah, I don't think either one of them has the goods to go up against that defense.
And then in the 6-11 game, you have West Georgia and North Florida. I mean, West Georgia's played better of late. They do a pretty good job of taking away the three. Williams Dryden's a pretty good player, but I don't think they have the juice to get it done here. And they'll take on North Florida, who does what they're the birds of Trey. They shoot a ton of threes. They play fast, but they have zero defense. I mean, zero. Uh, now, the thing is, the winner of that game gets Queens. And I mean, Queens, they argue have the best offense in the league. Drive and kick, pick and pop. They play fast, but their D is very, very, very shaky. So like they could lose in a shootout to anybody, especially if they have an off shooting night. I mean, their defense is really horrendous. And like you look this year, they lost. They lost at West Georgia. They lost to Bellarmine, but their offense is pretty reliable. I think Queens is getting through to the semis, and I don't think that West Georgia or North Florida threaten. So ultimately, we'll talk about Austin Peay in just a second. I do think we're going to get chalk. Although, this neutral site with a ton of three-point shooting could breed some variance, but I think we get two versus three in the semis. Do you have any objections there?
No, no, Queens is, like you said, the offense actually has a surprisingly high floor for a team that takes as many threes as they do. They get a ton of really quality looks from two. They're shooting over 60% from two in league play. And they've got maybe the most talented player in the league, Jordan Watford, their freshman guard, who's like probably going to be fodder for a low P5 or a, American conference type team to scoop up in the portal. He doesn't start, but he is hyper productive when he's out there. Big lead guard, 6'5", does not belong in this conference. And as he's kind of matured, he's become one of the better players in the league.
Do you think I'm thinking that this could be a game? I know that Jordan Majeski is who I'm doing the Valley with later tonight. He's been kind of clamoring for this. Unleash Watford. Like why does he only play like 18, 20 minutes a game? So now they're in the conference tournament, like do they like unleash him and play him mega minutes?
I would
Um
hope so. I would hope so. I mean, they played him 27 minutes against Austin P, 21 against Central Arkansas in the finale, and he had four fouls in that game, so that might have been, a limiting factor for him. But yeah, after most of late January, early February, he wasn't even hitting 20. He's hit 20 in six straight games. So to your point, just let him run because he is a hooper.
yep. Austin P, they're the favorites, even though they're the two seed. A lot of zone pressure on defense. You can score inside of them if they don't turn you over, but their offense is pretty good and a very high floor. They work inside out through Parker and Marshall, very post heavy offense. If you look what they did against Queens, this year. It was 95-87. Uh, Austin P won at Queens, just a complete shootout, which we might see again. Do you
Yeah,
think Austin
Parker
P
had
is the deserved?
39.
What's
Yeah,
that?
Parker had 39 in that game.
That
It's
insane.
completely.
Do you
Yeah.
think they're the deserved favorite here as the two seed?
Yeah, they probably got the best level of balance in the conference where they were like actually pretty good on both ends of the floor. Central Arkansas has been a little more defense heavy, especially in league play, and then Queens is all offense. So the fact that they have some balance in past years, Gibson's P teams have been like all guards, just like four little 6'2" guys running around one post player. This year they've got more size at the four spot. Like they actually play a 6'8" guy at the three. So they're a little bit more versatile this time around. I don't like adore him as a coach. He's kind of a goofy guy. He wears army fatigues and talks about service all the time, but the team plays really hard and they've got actual talent this year.
Yeah, I mean, I did not see this coming from this team, but I mean, Colin Parker from the NAIA has been, he was an All-American there. It's been a great find. Zaire Collins, their freshman point guard, has been great. Um, so it's really come together for them, although they did close the season on a two-game losing streak, losing to Central Arkansas
Yeah, they
and Bellarmine.
choked it away. They choked away the title. I mean, they had the 2 game lead, but then they lost the head to head to Central Arkansas and really tripped up on the road in the finale, which, sets up the Central Arkansas discussion too. Like those two, Central Arkansas and Austin P, are two of the highest gainers in efficiency margins since Ken Palm's opening day rankings. Like they have both vastly exceeded expectations. And I think this is probably the conference for it because nobody really looked like a great favorite in the preseason.
Yep, agreed. In the top half, when you have Bellarmine and Jacksonville, which will be play in the first round. I mean, look, Bellarmine won one away game all year in league play, but it did come against Jacksonville. If they win that game and they play Central Arkansas, here's so Central Arkansas, very, like I love watching their offense, but they're a super high variance team. I mean, they are variance monsters. They shoot a ton of threes. They have a very compact defense, like zone trapping. They allow a ton of threes. Cam Hunter and Ty Robinson can score. But if Central Arkansas plays Bellarmine, that game will have 700 threes in that game. I mean, so Central Arkansas lost at home or at Bellarmine. There were 74 threes in the first meeting, and then in the second meeting, there were 59. So you want to talk about a just a very high, like, hey, I want to like Central Arkansas, but with the amount of threes that are in their games and the price point that they're at, I can't get behind them.
So that's why I kind of like Bellarmine as the flyer here. I mean, they've
Yep.
beaten Central Arkansas, Austin P, and Queens. They have a win over all the top three seeds. They're, as you mentioned, their only away win is Jacksonville, the team they play in the first round. And they're not having to play true road games, which should hopefully help them. They've been much, much better at home. But they're a huge variance team too. They give up a ton of threes. And this year, no one missed against them. Second last in the country, 40% 3-point shooting against them. In league play, it was 41.2. Like that's kind of outrageous to me, but they've shown the ability to play up. They're a very unconventional team to play. I I think that's a nice flyer. Like I'm looking at some of the odds across the board. 60 is out there at one book and 55 at another. It's an intriguing just dart throw for me here.
I agree. I think that's due to the variance and then due to the top seed being a high variance team. I mean, Bellarmine's not going to get in. They're going to have to win in a shootout and then just hope that Central Arkansas is off from three. I mean, since February 1st, it's pretty. Bellarmine is dead last in adjusted defensive efficiency per Torvik. Dead last in the
Yeah.
country. Top 50 offense. They're shooting 44% from three over that stretch, and teams are shooting 41.5% from three. High volume both ways. What gives first? I don't know. But if you're looking for a high variance team that can score with anyone, I think it's Bellarmine. Uh, so yeah, I think that's the long shot. Look, you also have Florida Gulf Coast and North Alabama. Florida Gulf Coast. I mean, North Alabama, you have to. I don't think that North Alabama can beat Florida Gulf Coast. And the reason is you have to score over top of them, and North Alabama is fully incapable of doing that. They want to attack the rim, but they have no guards. They really miss Jakari Lane and Fields, who they had last year. There's just no guards on that team. And I mean, Florida Gulf Coast, their offense is ugly. But it's a very compact defense as well. They help a lot. But I just don't think that North Alabama can score. Can Florida Gulf Coast then beat Lipscomb? Not sure because Lipscomb can score over the top of them. In a season sweep of Florida Gulf Coast, Lipscomb went 34 of 64 from three in the two games. They have an inside out offense, good spacing, they can shoot. So I just don't think that Florida Gulf Coast has enough offense. But am I like completely afraid of Lipscomb if, say Bellarmine got there to the semis? No, absolutely not. They could win in a shootout. Any thoughts on the bottom of that top half?
No, I'm right there along with you. Like Lipscomb is a very well coached offense. Their coach was a disciple of the old coach, Lenny Acuff, who's now at Samford. Kevin Carroll was at D2 Trevecca Nazarene before, brought his point guard with him, Esmeraldo, and he's one of the top 10 in the country in assist rate. They love to spread it out. Both their big men have hit north of 33s this year. It's very five out, and it gives you a little more of the variance. Like, yes, they've been the best team, but they've dropped some odd games, or the better team, I should say. Lipscomb has been. They lost at West Georgia, they lost at Jacksonville, they lost at Stetson. All those teams stink. So if you're looking for a path for Bellarmine to get all the way there, we've got the high variance game, hopefully with the one seed, and then taking on a team that away from home has not been all that special either in Lipscomb, and that's throughout the season. Like it's not like those games are clustered at one point. So I love the gamble for our long shot here. And maybe they lose to Georgia. Maybe Bellarmine goes down right away, but I think we've got a chance at least to ride a 60-1 team through a high variance field.
I agree. Plus, Central Arkansas, Lipscomb, bottom 20 Haslametrics away from home metric for what it's worth. So yeah, I just think a neutral court this year with all the 3-point shooting, you could see, and there isn't like a mega dominant team in this league, which we sometimes get. Like Lipscomb has been that at times. Um, so yeah, I think Flyers on Bellarmine. If you told me Austin P and Central Arkansas got to the final, uh, yeah, sure, I believe you. Who's going to win? I don't know. I don't have a strong take. I don't think there's any value in the top of the board. So I think the dart throw that we agree on is Bellarmine. That's what I have circled here. Any other thoughts on the ASUN?
Like maybe Gulf Coast, just I don't know. I'm not super into them, but their defense forces a ton of long twos. Number one 2-point percentage defense in the league. Coming into the year, it was like this team's got a lot of decent talent. Like Michael Duax was at Northern Iowa. Their top player, Knesny, I think it's pronounced, was at
Yeah,
Notre
Canesi,
Dame.
Notre Dame. He missed I think 5 games
Yep.
uh in
And
late
then
January.
and then Ellerby would probably be the best freshman guard in the league if it wasn't for Watford at Queens. He stunk the last two games of the year, but he had a 40-point game this year. Like, so he's capable of going off. So that's another team that at least has a high ceiling in a league where, like you said, I don't think the favorites have any value.
Yep. All right. Good stuff. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house, it's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the game. It's people moving the action, so when momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play by play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood, now available across the US. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk and is not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commission merchant and swap firm. Let's move on to the Big South, which will take place in Johnson City, Tennessee. Why? I don't know. But
I have the same question written down. There's no teams in Tennessee in this league.
yeah, I mean, I guess it's better than being played at High Point, which it used to be, and High Point is usually the best team, and like that was, although like you're rewarding them, but I still don't like when there's just a conference tournament on one, like already predetermined on a home court of one of the teams. But I also don't understand, just like for the atmosphere, um, in Johnson City, Tennessee, like I don't get it. I mean, obviously it probably just came down to money, but High Point is the favorite at minus 160. They they are a different defense this year. If you look at their defensive profile, compared to last year, they're much more aggressive. It's not like strictly drop, and that's in part due to a coaching change. You have Clayman is now the coach. Alan Huss, who was a Alabama's
McDermott.
coach.
He's a
Same.
He's a McDermott guy
Oh, he's a
at
McDermott guy.
Creighton. Yep.
Um, th so they've changed their defense. They're more aggressive now. This is the team. They're top five in the country in turnover rate on offense and on defense. I mean, they're the best team in the league by far. I mean, Anderson and Martin are awesome. One of their presumed best players coming into the year, Cameron Fletcher, who's been around forever. I mean, he was in Kentucky like 6 years ago, then Florida State, and Xavier. I mean, he's been all around. There was word he was suspended, and then he didn't play for a while. Then he came back. He's kind of like a just like kind of a microwave off the bench just to give him some points. He'll play like 15 minutes, just another piece for them to play with. They're the deserved favorite. And if you look at the bracket, I mean, it's all right. So if you're looking to see, okay, how could High Point get picked off and they're minus 160? Well, the top half of the bracket where they're at, there's Upstate and Gardner Webb will play in the opening round, the 8-9 game. They'll get the winner of that. And then, assuming they win that game, they'll get the winner of UNC Asheville Longwood. They went 8-0 against those four teams, and they won every single game by double digits.
Yep. I
Like,
wrote down the margins 12, 13, 18, 26, 20, 25, 25, 55 against that half of the bracket.
yeah, it's hard to see to make a case for any of those teams upsetting High Point. I mean, Gardner Webb is 500 to 1. They are super young. I mean, super young. They don't do anything well. They won one game all year against the D1 team. It happened to be Upstate who they play. Um, Upstate, their defense is okay. Their offense is not. Like whoever's winning that game, they're not beating High Point. So we can advance High Point to the semis.
Yep.
And then it's UNC Asheville. Love Cam Taylor, but it's worth mentioning they don't have any depth, which could hurt them try if they were to try to go on a run over the weekend. UNC Asheville will take on Longwood. Longwood rebounding monsters. They force turnovers, but it, that's just not going to be enough against High Point. So I think we can safely put High Point through to the championship. Would you agree?
Yeah, the talent on the Longwood roster is not awful. Like they did okay in the portal. Billups from VCU, I really like him. Hutchinson from GW. Elijah Tucker started his career at Xavier, but their coach, Ronnie Thomas, is not Griff Aldrich, the guy that left to join
He
Ryan
used to
Odom's
always do well
staff.
in this
Yep.
format.
And so that downgrade has made them. And Ronnie Thomas is like 29 years old or something. He could end up being a great coach, but at this point, I don't think the talent got maximized, and I'm not going to say that they're playing up against High Point, even though they were the two closest losses of this half. They lost by 12 and 13 to High Point, but I don't think they get them in the postseason.
So let's go to so we're putting High Point in the championship on Sunday. Who's going to get there? I can tell you. So I go through all last week. I went through all the conference tournaments. I circled even before we knew the brackets. I circled all the teams I wanted to bet. Teams like St. Thomas. We'll talk about later in the show.
Yep.
And one of those teams, 100% was Winthrop because I thought we were going to get a good price on them. They match up extremely well with High Point. because they don't turn the ball over. They can get after the offensive glass, and their perimeter can cause issues because they don't turn it over against the high point defense. But the player of the year in the conference, Logan Duncombe, who's been incredible, Indiana transfer, big man in the middle. He, I assume, is out for the year. He was on a uh, scooter, went to the hospital with an ankle injury, just a massive loss, and they're not the same team without him. Um, can they? Do you still think that they can potentially get it done without him, or that's a killer?
I don't think they can win the tournament without him. Like they can get to the final, but I mean, he killed High Point in both games. He had 23
Yeah.
and 14 and 28 and 6 in the two games against them. And he's like, Aquino is a nice big man for High Point, but he's not as big enough or not big enough to handle Duncombe. And without him, I don't think they have enough on, it's a decent perimeter, but he was the difference maker for them.
Yeah, and then the gravity of him.
Yeah.
Although who cares? It doesn't I said that with Texas Tech, doesn't matter. Texas Tech's the best team in the country without Toppin. Um, so but so here's what I'm thinking. So now I don't want like this is the price I wanted on uh Winthrop, like plus 290. That's the price I wanted at full strength. But no, no thanks. So who does that is there a case to be made for Winthrop's first round opponent, Charleston Southern, the 7 seed? You can find them, I think, like 30 to 1 is probably the best out there. Here's the case I'll make for them. Number one is because they're going to play a shorthanded. We don't know exactly how much worse than that Winthrop's going to be, but I think it's going to be substantial. And Charleston Southern just beat Winthrop when Duncombe got hurt. He only played 10 minutes and left the game with an injury. Charleston Southern's arguably been the unluckiest team in the country. I mean, here are their losses since January 1st. They lost by 4 at Winthrop, full strength Winthrop. They lost in overtime to High Point. They lost in overtime to Upstate. They lost by 4 to Presbyterian. They lost in overtime to Longwood. They lost in overtime to Upstate again. They lost in double overtime to Longwood. I mean, they have 5 overtime losses in league play. And they are a high variance team. They shoot a ton of threes, which is what you want when you're looking for a long shot. And additionally, I mean, just looking at this team, I mean, they're shot quality losers. Like they're they're not like in the turnover department, the rebounding department. But they did just get Luke Williams back. They could get Blaine back. So and they have good depth. Um, if they like as far as making a run, winning 3 games in 3 days, they fit the profile and could benefit from this Duncombe injury of a team that you might just want to throw some couch change on. Any disagreement?
Not at all. 30 to 1 out there. If I knew Blaine was coming back, it'd be like, yes, take the flyer. Absolutely. I mean, this guy was making 3.5 threes a game, perfect fit for their offense that just fires away from deep. And as you mentioned, like they're competitive all the time. Just hasn't quite gotten over the top until late in the year when they did. They beat Asheville on the road to end the season and the big time confidence with the win over Winthrop. I think that's probably your flyer here. I'm not a huge fan of the 3 seed. If you just simply flipped their overtime results, which you can say are close to coin flip at the start of them, they'd be the 3 seed in this bracket. So I think they're good enough to at least make the run on that half of the bracket.
So looking at the 3-6 matchup, Radford, Presbyterian, Presbyterian, fitting name, Presbyterian. They're going to press to like slow you down, not press to turn you over. Funnel teams to the rim. They can't shoot. They do play slow. I mean, this is a tempo league. I said that the ASUN is a 3-point shooting. This is a tempo league outside of Asheville and Presbyterian. Those are the two exceptions. Um, Presbyterian just can't shoot. Then they don't have a lot of depth. They do play slow, which helps a bit. And then they'll take on a Radford team that also will press. Del Jones leads the way there. Jalen Johnson should be back. He missed the finale, but it was just flu-like symptoms. And then they have a guy, what makes them interesting, they have a guy in Dennis Parker who he's a flamethrower and he can just go off in certain games. I mean, he had 53 in a game earlier this year. Um, so Radford Presbyterian. I mean, Kempon projects Radford as a 2-point favorite over Presbyterian in that game. Radford won in double overtime on the road and then blew them out at home. Uh, I mean, here's when Radford, and for what it's worth, Radford is like 13 to 1 to win it. Radford, I just don't think can beat High Point. Um, you can't press High Point is the thing. Like they just have too many ball handlers, and like that's why Radford can't. Like they're just playing a more talent. They're going to play an up and down game with High Point, and they're just High Point has way more talent. So like in order for me to take on someone, I'd have to think like I think that Winthrop can beat High Point and matches up really, really well. They were up 15 last year in the title game in the second half. They beat them earlier this year, and then they lost by two in like a super smash spot for High Point at home. But now without Duncombe at that price, no thanks. Radford, I mean, they have some talent on the perimeter. Any thoughts on Radford and Presby?
Yeah, the Bradford talent thing was like the whole case coming into the year. Dell Jones, Dennis Parker, two guys that like very easily could be starting in the ACC this year. Jones from Clemson, Parker from NC State. They got Georgia Southern starting center, Tyson Brown in the portal. Brendan Rigsby spent 2 years at Oregon and a year at Minnesota. Mari Jordan was at Tulane. Like the whole concept of their offseason coaching hire, Zach Chu, was like dad's got money and Zach Chu has worked in analytics department, so he'll smartly deploy it. I don't think the talent's been maximized, and them playing up hasn't gone all that well. But they did lose by 1 and 2 to Winthrop with Duncombe in there, so perhaps they're going to be more comfortable with that. But they've got to get by Presbyterian slowing them down, and that it just makes other teams uncomfortable. It's like the one thing where Presbyterian zags and everybody else is zigging that can be a problem for a team that wants to play in transition and get going in the open floor, get threes up. Bradford I would say is probably the most likely team to come out of this side of the bracket with Duncombe out, but I don't trust their upside against High Point to your stated point already.
Yeah. Uh, yeah, I mean, Nick, you just like their defense, they need to turn teams over. You can't turn over High Point. You have to get on the offensive glass against High Point. Radford doesn't do that. They play fast, and it's just like what happens is what happens in their games this year. I mean, they lost 93 to 83 at home to High Point, and then on the road they lost 86 to 77. Like I feel like that's how another title will go. So if you're looking for a long shot, I I think it has to be Charleston Southern due to the Duncombe injury, due to the potential for them to be healthier. I mean, Luke Williams is also like he's an important piece to their offense to get him back. I mean, he missed what? He just came back and he wasn't fully back, but he played 16 and 21 minutes, so I expect him to get back to like 25 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, he's a very good offensive player, and they could get Blaine back. Um, they've been unlucky. They shoot a ton of threes. So, yeah, I mean, the one thing I worry about them is when they if they play High Point, I mean, they turn it over a ton, which is very worrisome. But with their 3-point variance at 30 to 1, I think that's your couch change flyer. But
Yep.
this should be High Point's league. Is are you betting High Point?
I got him at minus 130 early in the odds. It's not out there anymore, so I can't
Wow.
like fully propagate that one. But I also wouldn't mind like throwing him in a parlay with Gonzaga or Navy if you wanted to. I think that makes a lot of sense. Two favorites that I really, really like a lot also.
Yeah, I really like Gonzaga too. I mean, Gonzaga has the much easier path. I don't see Mary's beating them, but Mary's, I mean, they match up so well against Santa Clara, and they're going to play what Oregon State in the semis. Um,
Yeah, team who just fired its coach.
yeah. All right. So the last question, well, two final questions. One, can High Point, does High Point just not, do they fit that team that's just like they're too much offense, ultimately not enough defense to cause a team issues in the first round, or do they have enough talent to? put a scare into somebody.
I think it's the former, unfortunately. There is a lot of offensive scoring here, but the defense super reliant on turnovers. And they don't play big teams. Nobody wants to play them. Last year they didn't play a single Power Five team until the NCAA tournament, and Purdue more or less dismantled them pretty comfortably. And then this year they haven't played a top 100 team yet. UAB is like the best team they've played, and they only played home UAB, Stuckey. They didn't play
Yep.
road UAB, so
And they lost by
hard to count
17
them.
to That's bad. You lose to 17 to home
Yeah.
UAB.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Jim, thank you. We will talk again on Sunday. We will go through, I think we have 12 total. I'll be
Yeah.
going through conference tournaments, so those will all be out Monday. But thanks for joining me. It's time to bring on Mr. Matt. All right, bring it on now. Matty Cox from Three Man Weave. We're going to hit the NEC Summit and OVC, which is where we'll start. OVC will take place in Evansville. The top eight make it, and it is a tournament that rewards the top seeds. Although there's not much difference between, the one, two, three, and four. But Tennessee State and Morehead State ended up getting the top two seeds. So they will get double byes to the semis on Friday. UT Martin and SEMO get byes to the quarters on Thursday. Then we have two first round games. The first between SIUE and Eastern Illinois, and the other between Lindenwood and Little Rock. This is a super bizarre league. I mean, Morehead State won I mean, they tied with Tennessee State, right? So they were co-regular season champs. I mean, on Ken Palm, they're like the seventh best team in the league. They're a very perplexing team. Part of that is they won a ton of close games. So they had some good close game variance. But I mean, since February 1st, I mean, let's look. Their defense, I mean, we can go all the way back. Since January 1st, for a larger sample size, their adjusted defensive efficiency is 342nd in the country, and they're co-regular season champions. They are very good on the offensive glass, but just a team that I'm was hoping that I could fade. They are 4-1, even though they have the double bye to win the league. The favorites, Tennessee State, the other co-champions. So let's start at the top half. We have the first round game is SIUE and Eastern Illinois. Coaching mismatch to me.
Yeah.
Eastern Illinois, they have their motion offense. It's ugly. They have good defense. I mean, they can guard on the perimeter, but I think that SIUE too much size. They have a 7-footer in the middle. Campion, very good point guard. I think SIUE, who's 11-1, EIU is 65-1, will advance there. Any thoughts you want to add on the playing game?
Yeah, I take 7 teams in this tournament seriously. I don't take EIU that seriously, with all due respect to Marty Simmons. Little Rock's just been so hurt this year. I think that they're better than like their Ken Palm rank indicates. I was just confirmed. Jonathan Lawson will be back, by the way. I believe he
Yeah,
missed
he was
their
just
season
suspended for a game.
so he should be back. Um, yeah, SIUE is they're so defensive, gritty because they have been so banged up. And Baroni's a really good coach, but that's I don't like them laying points. I like them more as like if I'm going to back them, I'd probably wait to back them against Martin or Tennessee State if they can advance. And this is one of those I think tournaments, even though it's the bracket of death. Um, I wouldn't call you crazy if you took a flyer on SIU Edwardsville or Lindenwood. Little Rock, I don't know if they have the depth, but just 3 years ago, SEMO ran through this league 4 in 4 days. I don't think that's impossible, and everything is it's such a parity-ridden league, right? I mean, to your point on Moorhead, they've been like the seventh or eighth best team in the conference, even since February 1st, since they've been quote unquote hot. Um, so yeah, this is a tough one for me. I think in that one, I lean SIUE. I just don't like them as a favorite. I'll probably wait to try and back them. against Martin or Tennessee State. Tennessee Martin, a team that we like, well coached, but they're not a good favorite either. I think all the coaches know Schulman's bag of tricks with what he does offensively and defensively now that you see him for a third time. So I probably wait to back SIUE on Thursday, not Wednesday, as a dog, or probably close to a short dog.
Yeah, I mean at SIUE, I mean I Brown, I have to give credit to. I mean he is a very good coach. This is a team. They lost the Taylors from last year's team that went to the NCAA tournament, then got destroyed by Houston. But they lost Rayshon Taylor and Brian Taylor. And then earlier this season, they lost uh who's
Ring Malif, he's probably their
they
best
lost
player. Yeah,
Malith
and then Miles Thompson as
and
well.
Miles
But
Thompson, who were their
yeah,
two leading scorers at the time. They lost them to season-ending injuries. And yet, I mean, per Torvik, since January 1st, you know the best team in the league is SIUE.
yeah.
Now, it's not by much. They're 228th. Tennessee State's 232nd. SEMO's 249th. Tennessee Martin's 262nd. Moorhead's 271st. Lindenwood's 282nd. Like these teams are very, very, very condensed. There's just not much separating, but Bruin's done a tremendous job. If they advance to take on UT Martin, UT Martin is a very bizarre team. They're all Euros. They just have a ton of Euros throughout their roster, but they cannot shoot. Yet they shoot a ton of threes. I mean, they're like 96th percentile catch and shoot frequency, 10th percentile efficiency. And their biggest problem is they don't really have just a bunch of positionless Euros. They don't really have a true point guard. They turn it over a ton. They cannot deal with pressure. That's problematic against Tennessee State, who is going to pressure you, who, if they win, they would face in the semis. And to wit, Tennessee State beat them 67 to 42 in the finale at Martin and 78-71 earlier this season. So like I want to get behind UT Martin. They have the best defense in the league, but I just can't trust their offense, especially against a defense that's going to extend pressure like Tennessee State can. Any thoughts on Martin
Yeah.
or Tennessee State? Who's the
No, I
favorite?
think I don't have value on them to win it, but I think just from the context of who they are right now is important. Like Martin, I think they were such a darling early in the season. How Shilling goes to UNLV, they win there, they beat Bradley, and I just think there's an element of surprise because he's such a good coach and the way they play is so unique. And their entire team is basically you couldn't scout any of their players, right? They're all from like all over the country. Um, just look at their game to game rotations. Like it's like they've had a ton of guys in and out. Like I don't even know who's the most important player. Their most talented guy was Dragos Lungu, who's out for
Out
the
for
year
the year.
too. Um, but Tennessee State's the most talented team, I think, in this league. I think it's them, and you could argue Lindenwood's right in that mix as well. They're the two teams that really play up and down. So I feel like their games have the most chaos to them. Morehead State kind of, clamps it down. I don't think their talent's terrible, but I still think Tennessee State's got categorically more talent than even Morehead on the other side of the bracket there. I would take Tennessee State, frankly, over Morehead just as a side by side comparison if you're looking to back one of those two favorites that get the autos to the semi.
Yes, completely agree. But let's go to the bottom half of the bracket. Lindenwood takes on Linden Rock I mean, Lindenwood, as you mentioned, I mean, they're top 10 in adjusted tempo. They can't shoot, can't shoot free throws, they can't shoot three. They do turn it over a bit too much. Um, but this is a team, Nadadic's a very good rim protector. Their defense is legit. And they have Jadis Jones can get hot from two, like his booty ball game. Dontrez Williams from Abilene Christian, he's a guy who, he can fill it up on certain days. So they're an interesting team. They take on Little Rock in the first round. Little Rock I mean, who is this team? The market loves them. Like the market always wants to back Little Rock, and they usually disappoint. They were the preseason favorites
Yeah.
coming into the year. They started 151 on Ken Palm. They entered the conference tournament at 305th in the country. I mean, Jack Keck, they have Enzi, Lawson. They have they have talent. Play like a funky zone on defense. but like it just doesn't translate. I can't figure out Little Rock. Any thoughts on Little Rock?
Yeah, no, I just think
Lindenwood?
they, ever since they lost, I mean, they lost both their point guards preseason, right? So, like, and you just look at their last three games, they had to pull the red shirt on some freshman, Joseph Thomas, who actually came in and was the best player in their last game against Southern Indiana. He's just a shooter. And Walker talked about how they had to try some new 1-3-1 this year because they were just so banged up. It just feels like it's been they're hanging by a thread with all the injuries they've endured. With Lawson and some of those top end guys, I believe they are very talented, but like it's such a thin team that you just when you watch them play, it feels like they're playing 80% the whole game. Like they have spurts where they can look really good, but I don't know if I buy that as like a team that can resurrect its preseason ranking as like a new lease on life because they just aren't. The Ken Palm preseason ranking reflects that they would be fully healthy, and they just obviously haven't been.
Yeah, and they
So
don't
I
have, oh, they're
yeah.
351st in bench minutes, and they'd have to win 4 games in 4 days.
Right. Like
Um,
Lindenwood or SIUE, I would be interested in maybe they can go 4-4. I don't think Little Rock has any chance to. And EIU is just not good enough.
SEMO is 4-1. They have the bye to the quarters. They'll take on the winner of Lindenwood, Little Rock, and then the winner of that game would get Morehead State, who I think is a very vulnerable 2 seed. Any thoughts on
It's interesting that
SEMO and
SEMO
Morehead?
has lower odds than Moorhead, which I kind of agree with. I think SEMO is the better team. They best coach in the league is either a toss up, in my opinion, between Baroni, Korn at SEMO, and then Schulman at Martin. Like I think those three are kind of like just coach. If you just want to bet on coaching, intellectual horsepower, and I think they match up pretty well with Moorhead. I think they blew that one of those games early in the year where they were actually controlling that game. They just let it slip away. One thing with with SEMO is they have kind of their point guard is, um, that's sort of the one. Everyone in this league has kind of dicey point guard play. Like I like Campion, you're right
It's a
for
bunch of like
SIUE
wings all over.
wing creators exactly. So I think that's why you see a lot of turnovers. It's why I think some of these, frankly, these offenses look really bad at times. I mean, there's some of the ugliest games you've watched all year if you have you actually watched this conference. But I think if I'm going to throw a dart here, I think SEMO is probably my play. I think Cornigan, the fact that he's done it before, I think he's a terrific. His conference tournament ATS record is outstanding, which is I think skewed by the fact they went 4-4 a few years ago. But still, that's where I'm looking, and they are what at +3,
You can get 4-1 out there.
4-1 out there. Yeah. Again, like you do the rollover would probably be a little bit better, frankly, especially if they play, Tennessee State there in the final if they get there. So I would probably look to play the rollover, um, because they're not going to be like a crazy huge favorite against Lindenwood or Little Rock, right? I thought they might even be it'd be a short favorite there, probably a short favorite close to pick against, or sorry, they'd be a short favorite against Moorhead, and then probably close to a pick against Tennessee State there in the top. So that's probably a money line rollover play I'd prefer than taking the future price.
I would agree. Yeah, I think money line rollover for whoever you like, probably.
Yeah,
Um,
8 times
well,
out of 10, that's the better play. Yeah.
yeah, especially in this format, like you're not going to get. Sometimes it can work out if you take a future and you get upsets, right? And
Yep.
some of these, like, and then all of a sudden, instead of playing a team that you would have been a huge underdog against, right? Then maybe
Yeah, if you
you're a
have a
pick.
strong conviction in the other part of the bracket, that's
Yeah,
kind of how you
but
determine
that's not
your
going to
strategy
change
there.
in
Yeah,
this bracket
I
because
agree.
everyone is
Everyone's
like the
so
same.
equal. Yep. Yep.
Yeah, so like all the games are going to be, close to a pick.
This will be another, I think, market likes betting the unders in these. Uh, just it's been one of those historical venues. I don't think it's actually played that well to the under, but I'm looking at some of my market movement here. It's been seems to think people have seemed to think this has been a really good under, whether it's the conference or the venue. Just something to keep for those betting totals in conference tourneys.
Well, and this is a league efficiency 30th out
Yep.
of 31,
Effective field goal percentage, dead last.
dead
Yeah.
last. It is ugly. It's a defensive league, like wing creators. There's not a single offense that's ranked in the top
Yeah.
175 on Ken Palm, their offensive rating.
I've heard multiple coaches, Corn and I believe it was maybe show the refereeing in this league's really bad. Like I mean obviously you wouldn't expect great referees in the OVC, but it's been like a major point of contention that I think they're all afraid to talk about it. So um, I would expect some randomness for sure. Some volatility will be coming out of this bracket.
Yep. Uh, yeah, I mean, My pick, I'm gonna go.
I'm going SEMO. I do like Lindenwood though quite a bit. I hate their first round matchup. That's like against a zone that could trip them up in Little Rock, and then they got to play SEMO. But I think if I maybe pull those together, a little two-team portfolio, you get them against Moorhead, who I don't like, and then you can get a win in the what's that as a parlay? I wonder if you play those both, or not parlay. If you just combine those as like a two-team portfolio, that might be my play here. Lindenwood
I
SEMO.
wish SIUE didn't have to play foreign. Like I wish they had a top four seed.
Yeah,
Just due to the fact Barone, the coach, they have the steady point guard. Um, but I wanted like UT Martin, but I can't because they just match up so poorly against Tennessee State. So I'm gonna say the final will be SEMO, Tennessee State, and I'll roll with you. I'll go SEMO. All right. Let's move on to the Summit League, and I can already tell you, my darling, this is my UCSD. This is this year's UCSD for me. It's St. Thomas
roll Toms. Yeah,
plus 150. It's not the it's not the greatest price.
this is a money line rollover for sure. I think definitely.
The thing is, I was so let's the favorite is North Dakota State, not by much. They're like plus 135. They won the league, and it's basically because they won close games and St. Thomas lost close games, but I think St. Thomas is the better team. If we look per Torvik since January 1st in the Summit League, St. Thomas ranked 114th, North Dakota State 125th. And then there's a big drop off.
Yeah,
And that's to like Denver at 223rd. This league is your offense. This is your offensive league. If you like offense, this is what you want to tune in for. Like there's a so looking at the bracket for the Summit League, Oral Roberts will take on Kansas City. Kansas City is absolutely dreadful. The winner of that will take on North Dakota State. We can, I mean, almost pencil through Oral Roberts, who did win three straight to end the year.
I like
And
Oral Roberts. I'm just gonna say it outright. I like them. I think they're.
Ty
I think that
Ty
North Dakota
Harper,
State
who
game will
had
be close.
Ty Harper had 47 2 games ago. He closed the year with 29, 47, and 27.
He was playing hurt most of the year. I think Barnett, I think he's a good coach. I think he sort of he kind of rope-a-dope some of his key players who were playing banged up. I'm not saying they're awesome like they're a sleeping giant, but I do think that Harper. I mean, Harper was a monster for like a really good Youngstown team. Like this is like a real player. I mean, he can be like the best player on the floor in any game that they play for in this bracket.
They did go to double overtime at North Dakota State
Yeah, that's down in
ear-
Fargo. Yeah,
earlier this season. North Dakota State is a really good team, but they are, they're a bit high variance because they're going to give up a ton of threes, aggressive defense, force turnovers. They'll double a lot. They're very good on the offensive glass, which gives them a high floor. They can shoot the three as well. Shoot close to 40%. But they won a lot of close games in the league. They're definitely not invincible. Um, I, and then if they get by Oral Roberts, they would take on either South Dakota or Omaha, which I think is a true, true coin flip game. I will say, since a couple things worth noting here. Since February 1st, this is the only thing that really worries me about St. Thomas. St. Thomas is shooting 40% from three, which isn't crazy. They're they're a
yeah,
tremendous shooting team.
they can shoot it. Yeah,
Minnesale is an awesome point guard. Janowski, who redshirted in Nebraska last year, is great. Bjerke, who's like this big guy who looks like he shouldn't be out on the court, can absolutely. He hit 10 threes. He just hit, I think, 7 or 8. He hit 10 threes in a game a couple weeks ago. He just hit 7 or 8 against North Dakota State in a blowout win. But they shot 40% from three in February. Opponent shot 25%. And it's on very high two-way volume. And they're taking on South Dakota State in the first round. I don't love the South Dakota State team, but South Dakota State has been a bit unlucky in that department of late. But you know who's been really unlucky? It's South Dakota. South Dakota, since February 1st, they're shooting 27% from three. Now, it's not a great shooting team. And then opponents are shooting 38%. They're running at a negative 11% delta. And they take on an Omaha team who is shooting 41% from three in the month of February. So if there was a game where you could see 3-point
Yeah.
regression come to roost, it could be that. Now, Omaha's an interesting team. I mean, Crutchfield's done a good job with them because you think about it, last year, it was White, it was Sutton who went to LSU. And, they did bring some key pieces back. And Yobe has been the Miami transfer, the Frenchman, has been very good for them. Osborne came back for them. Stubblefield in the background. They're an interesting team. I don't think that Omaha or South Dakota can win this, but do you have any thoughts on either one of those teams?
Yeah, so Omaha. I think the key stories here are Omaha, who I think brought back their third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh best players from last year. Effectively, like they
Yep.
had a good core, and
Yeah, it was
you
everyone
bring in the
but
Frenchman.
uh well, who was it? White. I'm sorry, did I say Lee? White and Sutton
And
from last year.
Sutton,
Yeah.
who were obviously forces, right? But like I still think the makeup of this team, they were kind of super athletic like slashers, and like this league has no one that's like physically gifted or athletic. So like they were kind of a cheat code in that regard. But still, I mean, they were not healthy like all year. I mean, they definitely, I think, have like they have some. There's evidence that they are truly undervalued, and South Dakota's just been kind of grasping for straws ever since they lost Bruns. They play inside and out their fence. Peterson totally changed the way they play. Like they wanted to press like they did last year. He ditched that, so they're playing a lot differently now. So I think opponent coaches are adjusting to how they're doing new things. I actually kind of like Peterson as a coach, but so I think Omaha has a little bit of value there. I
They
mentioned
did
Oral
sweep
Roberts.
Omaha but during the regular
They
season. But
did.
you like
Yeah.
Omaha to get it done in the
Yeah.
third.
I 15 to 1. I'm looking at the price. So 15 to 1. That's on my short list. I'm with you on roll Tommies. I just think that's a better money line roller play. Because South Dakota State, like that won't be a crazy big spread. I mean, they're ranked like close to 200 in Ken Palm, and they have, a lot of remnants from last year's solid Jack Bunny team. They have, a really good big in Wilkinson that can, be a problem at the rim. So I like you. I just don't think you're getting great value on the future price. And then North Dakota, Denver. North Dakota is the best rebounding team in the league, and Denver's the best offensive team in the league. That's a kind of a fun clash of styles there. And then the last thing I'll mention here: be aware of the Thursday Friday staggered schedule. So, like if you're, for example, North Dakota and you win, you have to play the next day against the winner of St. Thomas, South Dakota State. I'd argue South Dakota State is in a better spot. Well, for sure they are if they beat St. Thomas because they get a day off to play North Dakota Denver. So just that happened 2 years ago where the 7 seed won, and then they got the day off and beat the 3 seed. I forget who that was. So just a weird scheduling quirk there. Don't know why they do that, frankly. I guess it's just for court space or timing, but
Well, they want to, if chalk holds, reward the top two
the
seeds.
top teams, yeah, right. But still,
Um,
it's like North Dakota. You got to go back to back against St. Right. It's all about the top 2 seeds, which is that's where I think if you look closer to the bracket, getting the top 2 seeds a much bigger advantage than it looks on the surface.
yeah, you can get Omaha 18 to 1. South Dakota State is 15 to 1. South Dakota is 27 to 1. Denver is plus 950. Now, Denver is an interesting team. When I say they play no defense, I mean, that would be an understatement. And this is one of the
It,
worst defenses in the
it's one of those
country.
like D3 or NAIA teams that they can score. Like moving up in levels, I think players can score. Like that translates, but you get exposed defensively when you move up. And I think like with this whole team is just like that's what this team is. I mean, I love Burke
Their
Strasser, a fun
offense
coach,
is
but it's
an
fun.
electric factory.
Yeah.
I mean, you could argue, I mean, I think KenPom, their offense is the best in the league for the full season. I mean, they're 67th in adjusted efficiency. They don't turn it over. They can shoot the three. Carson Johnson is electric. Their point
What's
guard.
funny is they are third in offense in conference play and actually seventh in defense. So North Dakota's actually been worse in case he's been. So they've kind of converged to the mean since conference play, which I think kind of makes sense given where they started.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is a team that beat St. Thomas, won at North Dakota State, beat South Dakota State, They won at Northern Colorado. They beat Eastern Washington. They won at Colorado State. They won at Montana State. So yeah, I mean their offense, they're capable of
Yeah.
beating anyone on any given night. Now, can they consistently do it and win 3 games in 3 days with that defense at plus 950? I can't get there. Would you agree?
No, I think if you're, I sometimes like just to put, compare side by side to kind of test your value sniff test. And like, I think Omaha is the better bet than Denver. Like, I think Omaha's odds, yeah, I think you could argue flip those odds, frankly, because I think, um, North Dakota, they've been struggling. Yeah. But like, again, if you believe that St. Thomas is like the team to be, which I think we both agree, then you got to really, I'd avoid every other team in that bottom part of the bracket. I'd be looking top only, unless you're, yeah, obviously if you're betting St. Thomas on the money line, which I think I will. But I think other than that, for a future, you got to look top bracket. I wouldn't look bottom.
Yeah, I also will say South Dakota, they've been very unlucky from three in the month of February, and they were 40th in 2-point defense, 88th in 2-point offense.
Yeah, Fens is a beast at the rim. Like if he's healthy, he's a factor for sure.
And then North Dakota, they have been, I mean, their defense is terrible, but they've shot 29% from three in the month of February, and teams have shot 38%. But it's not like they can't beat Denver. I mean, Denver can lose to anybody. Denver could beat anyone in this league on any given night. But look, I mean, North Dakota won at Denver 93 to 86, and they lost at home 98 to 79. So, yeah, I can't get there on Denver as good as their offense is. To me, it's all about the Tommies. My only decision point is, yeah, money line rollover, which is what I think I'll go with. Um, because I was thinking like, do I just wait and just hammer them as a pick against North Dakota State? But I don't think it's an absolute given that North Dakota State gets there.
No, I agree. I totally agree. I wanted to. You've been filtering since February 1st. I just did a filter for February 6th, which is the game after the game DeMario Wheeler came back from an injury because he was like a shell of himself that first game they lost to Denver. St. Thomas since then. So St. Thomas is 120, North Dakota State's 132, and Omaha is 186. South Dakota State's actually fourth at 200. But anyway, that kind of I think shows the gap between St. Thomas and North Dakota State to me is pretty close. But I still just like St. Thomas a lot better. As much as I probably should give Richmond more respect, I think Towers is just a top five coach in the game. Feels like it's their year. And also, we've probably mentioned that I don't know, the quasi home court value for South Dakota State game. All these are in. Um,
Yeah, South Dakota and South Dakota State
yeah.
get probably a bigger
This is not
home
at the
crowd. It's in
Pentagon,
Sioux
by the
Falls.
way. Yeah, it's not like the tradition. There's two Pentagons. People get confused by that. It's not like the fun Pentagon that you're used to probably thinking. It's like it's a kind of a more of a bland environment, actually.
I just really, really want St. Thomas in the dance. I will bet them and I will lose money doing it because this league has no success because they're all offense and they can't defend and they're finesse. So like, you know who they could beat? St. Thomas. Hear me out. 14, probably a 14 seed, right?
Yeah, let's see. I think that's right.
Okay.
What do they do in the non-con?
So
Yeah, they have North Dakota State as a 14. I think Thomas's resume is like comparable. Yeah,
yeah.
that's probably right.
All right. So say they're a 14. Like they lost 84 to 58 at St. Mary's. This is the first game of the year, but they lost 81 to 71 to Washington State. St. Thomas is a pure finesse team. They're going to shoot a ton of threes. They're not physical at all, right inside. So who's a three that they could beat? There's a lot of threes that would destroy them. So like looking at
I mean,
bracket,
how about Nebraska, right? Like
yes, there
Nebraska, a
you
team
go.
that high variance team that
There you
doesn't
go.
overwhelm you
Bingo.
with athletes and yeah. I mean, I
That's
watched
it.
North Dakota play Nebraska like relatively competitively for about 25 minutes, and like if you're an alien brought down from Mars and like had no context as to how good Nebraska was or how good like they didn't look like two teams on different planets, right? So I think that's the matchup you want.
Yeah, because if
I
they
don't
play
know,
Michigan
maybe
State,
Illinois, but I'd
they'll
probably
get
say Nebraska. Yeah.
Yeah, they'll get crushed by Michigan State in physicality. Kansas, they have too much talent. But Nebraska is not a team with like overwhelming athleticism and physicality inside, and they give up a ton of threes and they play a high variance game. That's the team. Nick Janowski revenge game.
Yeah, a little revenge game there.
Redshirted.
I love that. Love that. Yep.
So that's who I'm hoping for. Because there's a number of teams that they just would get crushed by, like crushed.
Real quick, I just ran this money line rollover here. So they're probably about 80% against -8, roughly. I'm guessing it's about 80%. They win that. I would say similar price, could be actually bigger. So call that 80%. And then if they're a coin flip against North Dakota State, which obviously that's no guarantee they get there, but that's it's basically at 33%. So yeah, you're getting your price. That's a better. You'd be better off doing the money line rather than taking what I'm seeing, what plus 150, which
Mhm.
implies, yeah. So that's, I think you're very safe doing a rollover play here. Like as we've said a million times, it's just almost always that's the better approach.
All right. My pick, St. Thomas. How about you?
I agree. But Omaha will be my small wager. I think I came on this show last year and threw a dart on like Eastern Washington when they were the play-in 9 seed and they almost knocked off the 1 seed. I'm tempted to kind of do
Eastern
that with Oral
Washington.
Robertson. This was a few years ago, I think. They were like the 9 seed, but they lost like every game, and they almost upset. Who was the? I have to go anyway. But I think point
Why
is
would
Oral Roberts. I think has
Why would Eastern Washington be in the Summit League?
and no Big Sky. I think when we did Big Sky like 3 years ago, I got really cute with a. Let's see, what year is that? Maybe was it Idaho? Maybe. Oh yeah, no, it was last year. That wasn't last year. Anyway, that aside, I like Oral Roberts. I think Oral Roberts is going to be like in a close-ish game with North Dakota State. That's my hot take. We'll see where it goes, but I'm tempted.
All right,
Tempted, but didn't do it.
let's go to the NEC. This is how do I describe this league? It's slow, like just slow, ugly games outside of LIU, who is the 1 seed and the favorite, um, and Lemoyne, who will play fast. Everyone else is slow. St. Francis is fast, but they didn't make it. St. Francis, the top eight make this, and although New Haven didn't make it, even though they should, and it's dumb. Um, Chicago State made it over St. Francis due to the net tiebreaker, but Chicago State made it interesting because they got trucked. They almost lost the net tiebreaker in the finale. Um, but Long Island is the favorite. This is a league where the home teams will host, the higher seed will host, they reseed, and there's no buys. So top eight, higher seed hosts, reseed. The quarterfinals are on Wednesday, 4 games, reseed, higher seed hosts the semis on Saturday, championship on Tuesday. So you don't have to, depth isn't as big of an issue because you have a couple days in
Yep.
between each game. Long Island is the rightful favorite. They, Fuller and Davis, great players. They want to get out in transition, attack the rim. They're not without flaws, though. They turn it over a bunch. They can't shoot free throws. Um, they should get by Chicago State in the opener, and then they will take on either Lemoyne, who's pretty much all D, no offense, or Stonehill. Lemoyne's 10-1. Stonehill's 60-1. Stonehill is the pretty good defense. Offense is shaky, but Hackett's been on fire lately. Kofi, he didn't play in the finale. He's another one of their
Yeah, I was trying to find some on him. I couldn't. I got
Stonehill
nothing there.
coverage is no idea. Um, so Stonehill will take on will go to Lemoyne. I mean, during the regular season, Stonehill swept them, and it's not the worst matchup in the world because Lemoyne's not going to turn Stonehill over, which is a major issue, and it's the Lemoyne offense is all about twos. They have the best 2-point offense in the league, but Stonehill has the best 2-point defense in the league. So Stonehill could certainly win that game. It's like a really bad offense in Stonehill. against a pretty good defense for the league standards in Lemoyne, and the same vice versa when Lemoyne has the ball. Um, but it's hard for me to see either one of those teams taking cutting the nets down. But maybe you'll make a case for one. Do you see it with Lemoyne or Stonehill?
No, I don't. I think it's LIU or CC or Central Connecticut, which is that the story for me has been like they've been like an inverted team for me. Like I thought they'd be like really good defensively, but then they've been like awesome offensively, but not good defensively. I think coaching. I mean, Sellers is a terrific coach, but LIU's talent is certainly categorically a cut above the rest of these teams. I think that's kind of why they sit where they sit. It's why they've dominated the league all year. Um, yeah, I think you gotta. I'm trying to think who's got the best matchup to take down Long Island. It might be
I think it's Mercyhurst.
because of their zone and they. I'm trying to. I was looking at the
Well,
updated
like so
zone
Mercyhurst
number.
is gonna they
Oh, they
don't
haven't played
turn it
much since.
over,
Yeah,
so they can limit Long Island in transition. They force turnovers, which can be an issue for Long Island. Mercer's just a weird team. Like they're just like mid-range merchants, um, and they're very good in the mid-range. Bernie is my guy.
yeah.
They
Bernie
should have
Blankenball.
won at Long Island, and then they blew them out at home. They've been dominant at home. They must have like an underrated home. Like, look at their league record at home.
I think a lot of these places have decent home courts because they're sort of like NEC 10 up uprisers that actually have like I don't know they're not like easy to get to. And so they're Kempom 10th best home court. This is just on a win percentage, not against the spread, but still a good proxy. 61% home win percentage. That's 10th best in the country. Pretty good for a league that you don't think has like real home court value at all. So yeah, there might be something there.
Yeah, they're 14-3 in league play over the past two seasons. Mercyhurst, two of the losses came in overtime. They lost a ton of close games this year. They easily could have finished higher in the standings. And then, meanwhile, Long Island, they're good, but I told you they're not without flaws. I mean, look at some of these wins. They beat Mercyhurst by two. They beat Stonehill by three, New Haven by five, St. Francis by two. So like they won a lot of close games this year. They also can't shoot free throws. That's another issue for Long Island. But you're right, Central Connecticut, I can't figure them out. I mean, they've had per Kembon, they're the best offense in the league. Jay Rogers is point guard, assist monster, and Darren Smith, a great inside out combo. But their defense has been so bad. Um, and then you have like Wagner got bet down. They were like 100-1 at some spots, which I don't think really any team should be that high. It's hard to like Wagner's been playing better of late. They are great two-way rebounders. They can shoot the three. Um, so like they're an intriguing long shot. FDU is kind of like a worse version of Wagner. Like they can rebound, but they can't shoot at all. And Chicago State is just bad. But uh, my pick, I'm gonna go out on a limb, a semi limb. I'm saying Mercyhurst cuts down the nets. There's something about this
Wow.
team. And here's the other thing: they're not eligible to go to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
if they if the chalk holds with Long Island would have, and they play Long Island would have already clinched. And they've already proven that they match up well with Long Island. Additionally, this is crazy. If it's Lemoyne versus Long Island, excuse me, Lemoyne versus Mercyhurst in the final, neither team's eligible. It is not the regular season champion that goes. They will play an additional game called an automatic qualifier game of the two losing semifinalists.
It'd be epic.
I don't know where the game will be played, when,
Yeah, where's it at?
but no idea. But there will be an additional game. So that's what I'm rooting for. My pick is Mercyhurst, the Lakers. Uh, what a story it would be.
So we mentioned the injury to Malachi Davis.
I think it was just like he got hit in the face in the
No,
finale.
so
He's one of Long Island's best
Fuller
players.
got hit in the face, but Malachi actually, I think he hurt his. I thought he actually was like he didn't come back in the game at all. He did not play.
I think he got hit in the face. You think Fuller got hit in the face?
I know Fuller also left for a little bit and got hit in the face. So maybe they both did, but Davis did not play at all the second half. Maybe it was precautionary. I assume it probably was, but That's something I think you need to check on, and I will try and monitor that closely. The NEC actually has good coverage. Shouts to um, Nelson Castillo and a couple of those guys. They actually have, that should come out of the darkness in the next 24 hours. I would imagine. That's my guess. Yeah, and that's
No,
huge.
Davis took a hit to the face 6 minutes into the game and never returned. So,
Yeah, I think he's fine.
so I
Yeah,
think he should be fine, but
yeah.
maybe not.
Davis shot to the eye. Sorry, Fuller shot to the eye. Davis shot to the. Yeah, I guess that must have been a physical game. Weird.
So I'm going Mercyhurst. And I'm gonna throw a little bit on them. Plus 650 you can find out there.
I'm gonna go with Central Connecticut. I I just don't think this defense is as bad. So they're actually like fourth in the NEC in effective field goal percentage defense, but they're ninth in efficiency because they've just been really like they've really sagged and like parked the bus. They don't force any turnovers, and they're a little bit undersized. Like they don't have a ton of like true bigs, so they haven't really been great on the
Yeah, so like they
glass. And
pack it in and then they don't get
they
any
can't
rebounds,
rebound. I
which
know
is
it's sort of
problematic.
like they're struggling to find an identity because last year, I mean, they were like insane on the boards because they had just what's his face, um, Momo, who was a freak, and that's why, frankly, Illinois Chicago has been so good this year on defense. Anyway, they, I think that's my best value play because I know they have some dudes who can score, and I still think they're better defensively than how they've played, even though it hasn't looked good
And they have a
on
very good
paper.
coach.
And a really good coach. I think they're probably the best coach. The coach I probably trust the most in this league. Price wise, 5 to 1. I mean, it's not great. This is one where I think it's maybe a money line rollover. They'll be, favored. The winner of CCU Mercyhurst. Maybe that's the strategy here. The me and Stuckey combined approach. Winner of that game against LIU in the final. Maybe that's the play.
I will be on
Hmm.
Mercyhurst in the final if they play LIU for sure. Um, all right, that'll do it for us. I'm going to bring in Jim to get his thoughts on these three. I quickly talked about that with him at the end. NEC, am I crazy for liking Mercyhurst? They're my boys.
Oh man, probably not all that crazy. The Wagner price got bet way down. I'm sure you guys just discussed that, you and Matt. It was like 100 to 1 at DK at one point, and they've been playing well lately. So that one was kind of my flyer there. Mercyhurst though, I bet a lot of their unders this season. They played so slow offensively. But this tournament is crapshoot to me. So take a flyer. I'm not going to take the favorite like minus 170 in a conference like this. Sorry, I'll
Yeah,
let you.
no shot on LIU. We'll get to that. But one of my one reason is that if LIU wins the top half and Mercyhurst wins the bottom half, and they reseed, so it might not work out like that. But then LIU's already locked into the dance. Doesn't mean they won't
Yep.
try, but Mercyhurst is ineligible, and Mercyhurst matches up extremely well with LIU. They arguably should have won at LIU, then they blew them out at home. They don't turn the ball over. They will turn over LIU, which is one of their issues, but we'll get to that. Or Matt and I already discussed that. OVC, the I mean, this one
I
is
I'll be
I,
listening to you and Matt break it down because
okay.
I've been clueless on that conference most of the year.
Uh, like I want to love UT Martin with all their Euros, but they can't. They just all they do is brick threes. Favorite play of these three, or the most conviction you have of any of these?
Omaha Future, I think, is my. I think that's my strongest. That's my strongest value, and I think I'm going to look SEMO Lindenwood OVC as a two-part portfolio there. I think one of those two teams get to the title game and take down Tennessee State or whoever, maybe SIUE to your liking comes out of that top end.
My biggest conviction is St. Thomas is going dancing. It's not a great price though. And then what we talked about earlier, what I talked about with Jim, the couch change throws are Bellarmine like 60 to 1 and Charleston Southern 30 to 1. Um, so yeah, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Jim and Matt for joining me. We will have an episode tomorrow. I'll be recording with Jordan Majeski, legend on the Valley, Sam Fetterman, another legend on the MAAC, and then Breeze and Duck for West Coast and SoCon. Day after that, we'll hit the SWAC, Coastal, Big Sky, America East. Tanner will be joining for that in the Southland. And then on March 8th, Sunday, we're hitting a ton. Sunday and Monday, we'll hit the rest. So get ready to have your feeds filled up. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck on all of your wagers. Thanks to our producers. Most importantly, thanks to all of you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, unsubscribe, tell a friend, tell an enemy. We'll catch you probably tomorrow. Thanks for listening. Cheers.